Okay, good morning, Eve. So today we are starting a lesson on multiplying fractions. So what you're seeing right here on your screen is just a review of what we had done when we were doing multiplication of decimals because it's very closely related to fractions. So just as a reminder, if I was trying to multiply 2/10 times 3/10 in decimal form, it would look like this. And this is that day, I think it was Blake was our of person. And every time I clicked my fingers, he had to say of because we were finding a piece of a piece. So when I was doing 2/10 times 3/10, I was shading in 2/10 as yellow and then shading in 3/10 as blue, and then the answer would turn green, or it would be 6/100 because 2 times 3 is 6, and that little piece of a piece down here is 6/100. So what's underneath that yellow and that green right there that overlaps? So another example from this would be doing 4/10 times 6/10, and let me get my highlighter here. If I shade in 4/10 this way, sorry, I went a little over the 4/10, and then I did 6/10 going this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This whole part here that turns green should be 24 out of 100, okay, because that's 4/10 of 6/10. This space right in here that's green would be 24 out of 100. So we had 24, and then we had our decimal point there as 2400. So it's that piece of a piece. So when we look at, so let me erase that real quick. So when we look at fractions, I'm not going to do those with you. So when we look at fractions, we're once again finding a piece of a piece, but it's not necessarily out of tenths, okay? So when I'm talking about finding 1/2 of 2/3, I have to take a shape and I have to cut in half and then cut that same shape into thirds. So like when they're overlapping each other, you're actually going to see 6 pieces. So it's going to be cut in half this way and cut in thirds the other way. And it's going to look like 6 pieces over there. So if I'm finding 1/2 of 2/3, I'm shading half of it yellow, going vertical, and then 2/3 of it going horizontal. And when I overlap them, whatever is overlapped here in the blue and the yellow section is going to be my answer. Okay, so I'm actually going to color that over here on the right and show you what that looks like with our highlighters. So I'm doing half of it. So down here's half, 1 out of 2. So I'm shading in 1 out of 2, yellow, and then I'm going to shade 2/3 this way. So I'm going to do 2 out of 3 going this way, and then the green is my answer. So when I find out what half of 2/3 is, it's this section right here, which is 2 out of 6. So when I find half of 2/3, it's going to be 2/6. Okay. So we're going to do a couple examples like that. So here, looking at my next one, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it into fourths and thirds. So I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces going this way. There's 4 pieces. I'm going to shade 3/4 of that in that way, and I'm going to cut it this way into 3 pieces, and I'm going to shade in 2/3 over here. So I'm going to use my yellow, and I'm going to shade in 3/4. So 1, 2, 3 out of 4 is yellow. And then I'm going to do 2/3 with the blue, and then our answer should be in green. So when I have that answer there in green, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 6 what? Well, 6 out of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 6/12. So there, when I did thirds and fourths, I ended up with 12 pieces, and 6 out of 12 are shaded in as being a piece of the piece. So I had 3/4, and I found out what 2/3 of that was. Okay, here's another example. And once again, I'm going to cut this into thirds. I'm going to go thirds this way. So I'm going to shade in 1/3 here in a moment, and I'm going to go 6 this way. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, didn't cut it enough. Let's cut it one more time. Sorry, that's not really even there. And I'm going to do 3, 6 this way. Okay, so I'm going to go with my highlighters, and I'm going to shade in 1/3 first. Okay, so I'm going to do 1/3. I chose blue first. Okay, so 1/3 blue. Now I want to find out what 3/6 of that would be. So to figure that out, I'm going to color in 3 out of the 6. And my answer is going to be in that green part, that piece of a piece. So what's 1/3 of 3/6? And it's right here in this green section. So it's 3 pieces out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 3 out of 18, or 3/18ths, is what 1/3 of 3/6 is. Okay, so it's just doing this overlapping. Okay, so a couple more examples here. Now I have the boxes all drawn. So I have 1/2 that I'm going to color in yellow, and then I want to find what 3/8 of that would be. So I'm going to go 3/8 this way. And when I do that, I see that 3 of the pieces are green out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And if you start looking at these problems, you're going to start noticing a pattern probably, Eve. I'm not going to say what it is yet. Hopefully you figured out. If you haven't noticed it yet, pay attention. So in my final answer, I ended up with a 3 in my numerator and a 16 in my denominator. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more of these for you. So I'm going to shade in 3/4. So this is the side made out of 4s. So I'm going to shade in 3/4. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. And then I'm going to go the other way 2/3. So 1, 2 out of 3. And my answer is right there in that green section. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, look. When I do 3 and 2, I get 6. And then out of how many? So I had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So out of 12. So 6/10 of that is shaded in. Okay, let's look at one more. So I'm going to shade 1/4. So it's 4 sections going up and down. So I'm going to do 1/4 that way. And I'm going to do 4/5 this way. Okay, and what turned green was 4 out of, and if I count this all up, there's going to be 20 pieces there. So I ended up with 4/20ths. So Eve, hopefully you've noticed a pattern with our numerator and denominator. And if you haven't, let's go back and look. My numerator up here was 1 and 3. And when I multiply them, hey, look, I get that numerator. And my denominator was 2 and 8. And when I multiply those, I get this numerator right here. So it looks like we're just doing some multiplication here. Let's look. Does this work? 3 times 2? Yep. And 4 times 3? Yep. Okay, so let's look down here at this next one. We're not going to color it in. We're just going to, at first, we're going to solve it and see what happens. So if I take 2 times 5, I'm going to get that answer right there. If I take 3 times 6, I'm going to get that answer right there. Now we're going to color it in and see if that's what we end up with. So I'm going to shade 2/3 yellow. So 2 out of 3 strips yellow. And then 5 out of 6 that are, oops, didn't change color. 5 out of 6 that are going to be blue. And then my green answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yay, that's what I got. And then it was out of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Hey, that's the answer there too. Okay, so this is what they're going to be practicing in class today. If you have any questions, please send me an email. And have a great day. Hope you're feeling better.